I'll tell you something that you don't know. I spend almost every day at home.
So on the Zoom with me is someone we know and love. Love. I cannot tell you how much we love you, Jethro Tait, but I'm gonna anyway. His name is Jethro Tait, and he has a brand new song and a brand new music video out that we're gonna chat about. But firstly, hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. I have been stalking you on the Instagram, and obviously through all of the things that you've been doing, from Christmas songs to like going on your own to releasing music to everything in between. Did you seem like you don't stop working?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to keep busy. I think the whole thing with being a solo artist is there's no one around you to kind of make you work. So you have to you have to keep yourself busy, and you have to have a lot of self-motivation. So yeah, I do try to keep myself busy with music all the time. If I'm not releasing, I'm writing, or practicing production or recording. So yeah, I try to do
Wow.
as much as I.
So you talk about being solo. I don't think many people know. I mean, I don't think they remember that you were actually part of a group called Four, and you guys did
Yes.
phenomenally well. What was the story behind that breakup? I don't want to say breakup because maybe it wasn't a breakup, but like, why did you guys go your separate ways?
So we were together for about 3 years, I
Yeah.
think. And yeah, we were just stuck in not the greatest deal, with regards to being in a label like kind of setting. So it wasn't really going anywhere. Nothing was like happening, no push to do things. And yeah, then eventually I was just like, guys, this is not really for me. Like there's a lot of things I want to do, and I really want to do the whole solo thing, and work on music that I really believe in. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened and why that change happened.
But didn't you kind of went from like one scary situation, right? So you're in this group, they're getting airplay, they're I mean, I don't know the back end of the contract and stuff, but like to the rest of the world, you guys look like you were doing really well and there was on all the radio stations and you were doing the things, but you were obviously in a scary space of like not happy with the paperwork side of things. So then you
Yeah.
leave that and then you completely leave the paperwork side of things and you decide to go independent. Um so you legit went from like one scary situation to the next. Talk me through that like learning curve of doing it by yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, after the whole boy band thing, I did go into another big contract,
Oh,
first,
okay.
and I did like have that for a while. Then I went into a label service thing where it wasn't really like signed as an artist. They just help you with, like kind of getting the song out there, distributing it and stuff. And then now I am completely doing it on my own. So it's like a big change. There's a lot that you realize that you have to do yourself. Can be stressful, like getting everything onto the platforms, and like I hope it's going to go live on the day of release. Nothing that goes wrong. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is a big learning curve, and it is a big change going from having like a label behind you to just doing things yourself. Um, so yeah, it was a big change, but I'm enjoying it. So
at the
yeah.
at the core of it, what does it change being by yourself? Because I mean, like for those of us that aren't in the music industry, we assume, right, the Hollywood assumption is that you sign to a label, the money trucks pull up, you have to do an album or two or three or five, you've signed your life away for like what 10, 5 years, you make all the music, you go to the studio, you have your producers, you do everything, they do everything for you, then they put you in a nice bus, they take you on a tour, they look after you, they bring you home, and then the money just keeps rolling in. um what is the real life of that and then versus this independent life?
So I think the whole label thing is something that people think is very luxurious and everything is sorted for you, but it's not like that at all. I mean, I don't know about the rest of the world, but not in South Africa. So there's not a lot of like things where people are pushing you and people are going, okay, you need to go on tour and all of that stuff. Like a lot of it has to come from you, and you have to be very self-motivated. um, the music all has to come from you. Like they do sometimes put you in some studio settings where it's like work with this person, but majority of it has to come from your side.
Wow.
So with going independent, not a lot changes in that aspect, because a lot of the songwriting and all of that stuff came from me. So the music side of it stays the same, the touring side of it stays the same. The biggest change is just the whole release thing of getting everything out and hoping that it all goes smoothly.
Okay. And then obviously all of the finite paperwork, like all of the smaller contracts, all of the like getting your money out of certain places that everyone fights about on the internet all the time. That's obviously now your responsibility fully, right?
Yeah, so I am still with the publisher, so they still handle like songwriting side of things, collecting those like that income. Um, and with the whole like performance royalties, I'm with like the right organization, so I've set all of that up, so it does go fairly smoothly now.
Okay.
It is a bit of a process making sure that all of that is set up correctly.
Jethro, aren't you afraid of speaking out against labels? Because historically, it's a big, scary thing to do, isn't it?
I mean, I don't really think I'm saying anything too bad about them. Look, a label, you just have to know what you're getting into if you do end up going that. I wouldn't say like don't sign or anything like that. Um, it's not gonna be what you think it is. Like when you start out in music and you're kind of getting into everything, you think that getting a big label deal is gonna like be I've made it now and everything is sorted. But there's still a lot that has to come from you and a lot of hard work. So yeah, I mean, I'm in no way against labels. Just for me, it was a better decision to go independent.
You speak about the music industry as someone who's been in it for long enough to understand that sometimes it's not so great. What has your biggest lesson been being in and having your songs like on proper radio stations and touring and
Sure, there's been so many lessons over the years. I think like the biggest thing for me, I don't know if it's a lesson, but it's just to like kind of remember to sometimes take a step back and look at how far you've come, because things do take time to happen. And by the time you reach a goal that you set for yourself like years ago, you've already set new goals and you don't really realize you've reached those goals that you've set. Um, so I think that's like a big lesson I've learned, is that things take a lot of time and you can't like constantly be thinking about the next goals and forget about the goals that you have reached, that you set. So yeah, I don't know if that's a lesson, but that's something I've learned, is to just kind of take a step back sometimes and have a look at how far you've come.
no, 100%. And I think this is a lesson that we all need to listen to. So you need to record this and play this over and over and over again in your car, because we often forget that the things we asked the universe or God or whomever for a couple of months ago, we already have those things, and now we've
Yeah.
forgotten that we wanted them so bad, and we're like on to the next one. Like Jethro says, like we all need to take a step back and go, yo, I'm here. This is what I really wanted. 6 months ago, me would have been stoked. So let's be stoked for a little, you know?
And
So speaking of stoked, Sad did incredibly well. Did you have a feeling about that single?
I did, when I wrote it, it felt really good. Obviously, it's very hard to tell with songs how people are going to react to them, because I have a different relationship to them than what listeners do. So I felt really good about it when I wrote it, but it was also like it came out and then like a few months later it was lockdown. So it was like, oh, is this wrong timing now? Did I like completely mess this up? But it still did well over lockdown, which was amazing. And that was very surprising that like I had my biggest song at a time when I couldn't really be out promoting it. I had to just be at home and kind of do like telephonic things or
Yeah.
things over email. So yeah, it was very surprising in that aspect.
So I read in the press release that I was sent for this new single that we're going to talk about, that this is going to be a full body of work. Are we getting an album? Are we getting an EP? What are we getting from you in the next couple of months?
I haven't decided yet.
Ah,
There's a lot of songs that I've been working on. Yeah, there's just so many, and I feel really good about a lot of them, and I don't want to rush it. So I haven't decided if I'm going to just choose like a small amount of them and put those out, or if I'm going to wait and do like a full length album. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see.
I don't like this. This is not fair. We want to know more. Okay, but so obviously you've been working on stuff. Is it still you? Are you experimenting? What are we in for?
I think it is still definitely me. I am experimenting a little bit with some new sounds. I've been working a lot with a producer in Potch named Evolt. He was part of the band Monarch.
Okay.
So him and I have been collaborating a lot on a lot of songs. So obviously, like through working with him, there is a bit of introduction of a different sound.
Okay.
Um, but I still feel like it is me, and I still feel really strongly about the songs, and hopefully people are gonna like them. I don't know.
Do you have a favorite?
I have a couple of favorites.
Okay.
So big, yeah, it's weird when you're working on songs because you hear them so much through like creating them. You kind of get over one and then you get into a new one and then you go back to the old one again that you really liked. So it's like it's a very weird process because by the time the song comes out, you're kind of over it because you listened to it so much over the last couple of months. So there are a couple that are my favorites and I kind of bounce between them. I can have moments listening to that one a lot and then going back to another one. So yeah, there's probably about three that are my favorites.
Okay, so how does the process work? Like, so you're undecided. I mean, I know you know, but you're undecided between an EP and an album, and you have all of these songs and you have these three favorites. What is the process of building an EP or building an album, and how is it different from the other?
I think I don't know. I don't know about other artists, but for me,
Yeah.
fairly similar. I mean, it's just one has more songs than the other. So obviously it takes more time working on an album than working on an EP. But yeah, for me, the process has just, it's been a really long time of working on songs and feeling like I now have a collection that I feel kind of work together and could be something that tells like a bit of a story. So yeah, I don't know how they kind of differ because an EP and an album, they both kind of should be a body of work that is connected.
Mm.
Um, the one just takes more time than the other.
So you dropped your latest single a couple of days ago, Here With You, on the 5th of August, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You did it at the same time as a video, so you've been working hard behind the scenes because normally we're not ready to go like that quickly. But also you recorded this in your home studio, right?
Yes. Yeah, where
How
I'm
was
sitting now.
how is that? How is that process?
So I've been building this up like over years, just slowly buying gear and getting things together so that I am able to record at home. Just because I like being in my own space and being able to just take as much time as I want to record something. When you're in like a studio, I feel very aware that I've got like a certain amount of time and
Mm,
that there's an engineer there and he's waiting for me to get it right. And like it just feels like a lot of pressure.
pressure.
Um, so yeah, I really enjoy just being in this space and take much time as I need to record and making sure I get things right. So yeah, it's really fun. I spend a lot of time in here.
Isn't that also dangerous though, dude? Because I feel like there is no right. There is no end. It's like, how long is a piece of string? When is the song done?
Yeah, it can be. I think like at a certain point you do feel like, okay, I've done all I can do on this song. There's nothing more. If you do feel like it's not complete, then it probably isn't complete. Um, but there is also the possibility of taking things too far and just like you had it in a good place and then you just ruined it because you carried on and carried on. So it does, yeah, it does take a bit of like restraint to just be like, okay, I think I've done enough here.
Ugh, the pressure though, the pressure, especially when you're by yourself. Like there's no one to tell you no or yes or
Yeah,
carry on. You kind of just have to like have this innate trust, which I think is difficult. So good on you.
thanks. Yeah. I mean, hopefully I'm doing it right. I don't know. I'm just gonna go in with it.
Well, clearly you are because here you are on Jacaranda FM again, dude. Okay, so
Yeah.
talk to me about this first single. Why this one?
So yeah, I didn't really release it as saying this is the first single of
Okay.
this body. It was just it's the most recent song I wrote. So I wrote it in June. So it was a really quick turnaround time. I was just
Wow.
like feel really strongly about this song. I just want to put something out, and I feel like this is a good one to put out. Also because a lot of the other songs are still kind of in the works, so I didn't want to rush any of those, and I felt like I just really wanted to put something out. So this song came about really quickly, and I was like, I feel really good about it, and I want people to hear it. So it was a very impulse, last minute decision to put it out. So I wouldn't say it's like the first single of the body of work, but it is a piece of the body of work.
Okay. And what are we in for? What would you like us to experience from this song?
So it's a very stripped down track. It's just guitar and vocals. I kind of took things back to the way I used to make songs, where it was just me in a room with my guitar. I think like I took a bit of time this year and reevaluated things and just had a look at where I was at. And I feel like whether you like it or not, as an artist, you do get caught up in the whole charts and numbers and like social media thing. And I didn't like how that was starting to affect me and starting to play a part in how I was writing songs. Just like thinking about, are people going to like this? Is this going to be on trend or whatever?
Right.
So I decided to just with the song go back to like my roots and make something that I'm really proud of and I really like, regardless of if it's following like big production trends or if it's edgy. So I kept things very minimal, but I'm really happy with how it came out.
I'm very, very excited to play it. I am very excited for the world to enjoy it. Okay, so like a ballpark idea of next single or EP or album. What's next with you?
So there is a song that I think is going to be the next single.
Okay.
Haven't set a release date yet, but it's the song that I feel really strongly about, and everyone I've showed it to really likes. So that will be out in the new year. Can't tell you exactly when, but that'll be like the first main single of the body of work.
Okay. And
Yeah.
until then, are you doing any performances? Can we come watch you somewhere?
So yeah, we're working on trying to put together a couple of shows. Nothing completely confirmed yet, so you'll have to just stay on my social media where I'll update you.
Stay on the social media that he avoids like the plague, but definitely you go there. For the rest of us, we need to be there to go and see. Oh, dude, you know what? It's always such a pleasure to play your music. I think that you are definitely one of our favorites, purely because you're authentic. And I think that that really, really matters, especially after the last 2 years. So just maybe for someone who wants to be a you, and has a home studio and put stuff together during lockdown, what would be your biggest advice to them?
Sure. I would say just kind of, it sounds so cliche, but like believe in yourself and believe in your ability to kind of do what feels right to you. Like I said, you can get very caught up in this industry about what other people are doing and what people expect from you and how you're meant to sound to get on radio or whatever. But I think it's very important to kind of think of what your voice is as an artist and where you can kind of slot in with what is authentic to you without trying to be like anyone else or trying to follow trends. So yeah, I think that's the best advice I could give, is just believe in yourself.
It's really good advice, and clearly it works. Jethro Tait, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate having you here.
Jacaranda FM.